I have no idea what video, or which video I should say, this project's going to go in. The Thea boho blouse from Liberty. Now Liberty patterns are like reprints of other brands, so I actually do not know the original pattern of this one. I got the one from Liberty's. The reason why I quite like the Liberty one is you get all the sizes. I love this blouse. I've made the one on the front twice. I've made like did I do short sleeve, or maybe I even did it sleeveless version once. The reason why I got this pattern was I really wanted to make the frilly sleeve version, but that takes something like 5 meters of fabric, which is a lot. I want to make a version of it first to make sure I actually like it before I buy that much fabric for a blouse. I'm okay buying that much fabric for a dress, but a blouse. So I've been digging through my remnants. In fact, I saw this version, this sheer version that this person has done and shared on the internet. And I have some sheer fabrics, some remnants, leftovers from other projects that I think kind of go together. I mean, I like them together. The more I look at them, the more I like them together. So I'm just going to show you what I've got. This lace was bought to do some details when I did a Fleur Delacour Beaubaton cosplay, which is my first ever cosplay many years ago now. Then we have the daisy mesh fabric that I got in New York. There's a decent amount of that, which I used as an overlay for one of the vintage patterns my nan gifted me. And then this is a chiffon. It is actually patchwork chiffon. It's actually the offcut of the bottom of my skirt of my prom dress. But I really like them together. So I want to go for a really boho, flowy, sheer blouse. Now I was playing around with placement of the colours, and this is kind of what I'm thinking. But I don't have a lot of any of these fabrics, so it really depends on what's your name, my love? I can cut out of what fabric. Oh, yes it is. I'm going to start with the lace and then see where I get. Hemming is going to be weird because I don't have to hem 2 of these fabrics. This is what I mean. There's the back piece. This is just one of the flounces. That one is the bigger one. I had hoped to do 2 bigger ones out of this. But I don't think I'm going to get a little one out of it at all. Unless I cut it in 2 halves and piece it together. But then that's more seams. I already know I'm going to hate sewing this together. I'm going to cut this one out and then I'm going to move on to a different fabric and see where I get to. Also, the whole cut 4, that's to line it, I believe. I think I only need 2 of each. That's where I'm going with it anyway. I should probably touch base. I am French seaming the skirt kind of in half essentially, so I can open it out and I've got double the width because, yeah, this long thin strip isn't the best for cutting out what I want to cut out. So I'm making it a wider piece first and then we're going to see what we can get out of it. I cut out the wrong circle. I was going to do the smaller one and I've done the bigger one, so now I've got, I should have prepped this before I started recording, I've got 2 the same length. So what I really need to do is, now I've got both of them, I need to decide if I want the daisies on top of the cream or the cream on top of the daisies. The daisies will obviously peek out like this one, which means I'm now limited on fabric here. This is the front. Now usually this pattern has different fronts and it folds over and hides the buttons. Well, this is sheer fabric, so there's no going to be hiding, so I'm just going to use the slimmer front for them both. And then I've got that amount because I was going to do the yoke, a single layer yoke. Again, we're going to be doing, usually it's double layer, but we're going to be doing French seams everywhere. I was going to do a sleeve out of this, I believe, as well. Obviously on the fold. Maybe actually, can I get out of, oh, I might, if I'm clever, be able to fit it out with the bottom piece here. It doesn't mean I can get a sleeve out of that. Can't remember if this is, if I want a sleeve out of this or if I want a sleeve out of the, oh, actually, you know what? I think I'm okay. But yeah, using up this fabric, aren't I? Okay, when all your pieces are like different fabric, the putting together process and keeping everything in your mind is quite complicated. So I will do my best at walking through this pattern. First things first is to gather, not the whole length, I think it's just between 2 dots or something. I'll get the pattern piece out again and work that one out. But gather along there, and then the actual pattern, you have 2 yokes, so you sandwich it in between the 2 yokes, and then these 2 fold up, and you can attach them at the shoulder. Obviously I'm doing this all sheer, so I'm only doing the 1 yoke, so I'm going to be attaching the gathered back to the yoke with French seam, so wrong side to wrong side, then flip right side to right side. So the seam is still on the inside, but it's nice and enclosed, and I'm going to be doing absolutely teeny tiny French seams for neatness. First official seam done. I'm now going to join the 2 front pieces to the back pieces at the shoulders, and then I'll insert the sleeve heads. I think that's the easiest way of doing it, and then doing like the whole side seam all in one. I think I might do a bit of a change of pace now. So we've got the back, the yoke, the front, and the sleeve heads in. The sides are not done up yet. The reason why I want to do a change of pace is I don't need to hem 2 out of 3 of these fabrics. So the 2 blue ones essentially are fine to leave raw, which is why I wanted to focus those on the ruffles, the flounces, not even ruffles, flounces on the sleeves. But I do have one that is not that, the chiffon. And the only other place that will affect is the body pieces. So the back is fine. In fact, the back has got the scallop going around the bottom, so I don't want to touch that. The daisy is just raw. That's just the way it is. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hem this flounce and the cream, not that you can see what part this is, the cream front, and then I'm just going to cut the daisy to match the cream front. So we're going to hem, which is usually the last step, but I'm inserting it here, and then it'll be a case of side seams, attach the flounces, then that's the body done. I'm still thinking about the collar and the button stand and the buttons, because it's you need some sort of weight there. There's supposedly such thing as sheer interfacing. Usually it's silk organza, because it's a thicker, sturdier but still sheer fabric. I don't have any silk organza, so I'm still debating, do I just line those pieces, so just have a solid around the neck and then down? That won't look terrible. I'm also debating, do I want the cream fabric, because it feels like there's a lot of cream now, or do I want the daisy fabric around the collar? Yeah, just thinking at the moment. So those are things I can sleep on. But yeah, gonna hem what I can now, and to do that I think I will use I am going to use rolled hem foot. It doesn't do the best on circles, and this is quite a tight circle, but I am not doing this by hand, so just go slow with this. Just here to say, this blue fabric, this lace, is my new arch nemesis. It is such a faff. It wants to keep skipping stitches over these higher raised bits. Not all laces are like this. I think it's because it's got this kind of cord or 3D thing. I don't like this. And now I'm remembering how awkward it was. I don't have much left of this fabric, as you know from me cutting this out. I've got a tiny bit. So, note to future self, don't buy any more lace like this. I'm not the biggest fan of lace, sewing lace. I love the look of lace, but I prefer, if I'm going to go lace, get the embroidered mesh. This is so much nicer to sew with. Don't like this kind of lace. Rant over. I should have gone to bed. Broke my needle. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I should have gone to bed. Don't sew with pins in. It's just these fabrics are shifting so much, and I am not going through the bother of hand stitching my seams before the machine on this. But yeah, this is why we don't sew with pins in. I was attaching these sleeves and they're quite short. That doesn't look right. It should be longer. I hadn't realised I cut that piece off to lengthen it, because I technically have made these sleeves before, but what I've cut out is just 2 of this without. That's at least an inch difference, guys. Yep, got to solve that one. That'll be so off balance. I need a gap. I'm quickly hating this project. So I am selling like the sleeve extenders so I can actually save this project. I've broken another needle. I bent it almost immediately when I put it in the other day, but that's another one of my fine needles. So this project's now 2 broken, and I wasn't even near a pin. I took the pins out. Sorry, what? It just came out. It's not broken, but it's managed to hook itself in the thread thing. I don't know. I'm just not having good luck with this. I have my 2 sleeves. I'm not in a good headspace tonight, so I'm actually gonna call it there before I attach it to this. So I will say, and this is an advantage of not realising that I did these sleeves too short, attaching this to this was easier than it would have been attaching it to this. This is kind of safe for me, so. Hi, happy Saturday. Not gonna lie, I've lost all interest in this blouse, but I am gonna finish it. I will get it done, because actually having a project that is unfinished is actually more irritating to my brain than just getting it done. Yeah, I think because I made that mistake, and though there was a positive to that mistake, I'm just like, can't be arsed anymore. Right now, I'm attaching the sleeve extenders with the frill, which is all like nicely tucked up in there. And then it's the collar that I haven't cut out and the front closing. I still haven't decided how I'm going to stabilise that front, because it needs some sort of stabilisation. I'm not going to buy anything new. I do not care enough to make sure it's sheer or whatever. So I've got either iron-on interfacing, or I've got the lining fabric from the original prom dress. I might have some of that blue poly cotton still hanging around. I mean, I've used a fair bit for like lining. I think I used it for Cinderella and that kind of thing. But yeah, I think I'm going to do the collar, the blue daisy. I think I'm lacking some of the blue daisy visually from the back. So, and you mostly see that from the back. I've decided to go with the lining. Now, the label is still on. I found out that the outer dress is 64% silk, 34% viscose, which, if you don't know, viscose is what they call a semi-synthetic fibre. So it comes from a natural source, but they process it. So it's synthetic from that point of view, I think. And 2% metallicized fibre, which, I mean, it's got gold through it. So, but what that is actually made out of, is it metal? Is that what that means? And then the lining is 100% acetate, which is obviously a different type of plastic, but often is one that is used for kind of like the silky, satiny kind of look. And it's a little bit more sheer. It's not sheer, but it's more sheer than the cotton pillowcase and the cotton. And I just preferred the look of it as well, because it's got that sheen to it. I think it lends itself well to this garment. So I am going to essentially make a facing. I know I say I hate facings, but this one gets sewn down. So it's better. I think the lining fabric should add enough stability for this very floaty blouse. I'm trying to think of my other sheer blouses that because I actually do like a sheer blouse. I've got a few that I've bought, definitely one from Monsoon, a couple from Next. I'm a big fan, so this is what I thought this would be a good project. And actually, now I'll show you, because I'm looking at it now. I've got the sleeves on. I am much happy with how that's looking, and the balance is looking good, and yeah, I am happy with it. It's just I was getting to a point of like, okay, I went ahead and cut it before like actually fully thinking this through. So I did cut it on this edge. It's obviously slightly curved because of the way the hem was. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to attach it from this side and then fold it under. And so that's why I was thinking, oh, you want a finished hem, because it is see-through. You're going to see that edge through it. But that edge doesn't look bad. And not only that, this is on the bias. So that's not going to fray more than that. And it will be enclosed. I've actually cut it too wide. Do need it basically exactly the width of what the facing says. And then I'm just going to sew it along here with the smallest hem, fold it under, and then that stitch line will just move ever so slightly, I think, just to catch it. So recutting, pinning, stitching, all that jazz. Okay, the facing, or I suppose you could call it an interfacing, because we're going to fold it under and then under again. So facing to the facing, so that's what it's going to look like. They're both sewn on. Now I'm going to press them so they actually lay nicely, and then stitch them down. Then we can attach the collar. I've cut it out of this material, but I need to cut it out of, I think I'm going to just do 2 layers of this, and like what we call interline, so attach 1 layer of the lining to the outer fabric, and then treat it as one piece, so then I can essentially sandwich this in between 2 layers of this, and then turn it through so that one's on the outside, and then attach the collar. I think that's going to be the best way. And then buttons and buttonholes. I'm going to try and use my automated machine for the buttonholes. I just don't know how it's going to agree with this. Annoyingly, I messed up on this top buttonhole. For some reason, it didn't start going backwards. I think it'd be worse if I try and unstitch that. I'm not going to lie. So I'm actually just going to leave it.
You are not responsible enough to have these sleeves.
I shouldn't be left loose with these sleeves. I've actually misplaced my glasses, hence why I'm not wearing them. But we'll go without them right now. I can at least see my phone. That's not bad. I really love the sleeves. I shouldn't be trusted with them. I probably would get absolutely nothing done if I wore this on a normal day. So it's not one for work because it would absolutely distract me. I will absolutely make this again. Am I going to invest in 5 meters and do it in a solid, or not solid, because let's be real, I don't really do solids, but a single pattern, maybe. I can't promise that'll be Liberty because that's still a lot of fabric. I would love a Liberty shirt in Liberty fabric. That sounds great. Yeah, I do love the shirt. I love the fact that I've managed to reuse stuff that otherwise would have just gone in the bin. Like, sheer is so hard to use up because you need enough for it to make sense, but equally often you need to line it. I know I haven't. I've just done that over a little cami, which is the other option. If you don't want to line sheer clothing, you can put it over slips or just your underwear. You do you. I love the fact that I managed to get some of my prom dress in this. These buttons are from my wedding dress. The only thing I will say is the lace is a little itchy, and that is, to be fair, true of most lace, particularly around the seams. That's what those are called. It was also a pain to sew, so I probably won't buy any more in the future, so I won't have this issue again. And you know what, I've done these sleeves before on a dress. I'll see if I can find it and put a picture here. But yeah, I did these sleeves before on a dress, and again I did it in lace, all because I didn't want to hem them and it was the easy thing to do. But yeah, reading the pattern actually in more detail, the pattern actually says to cut 2 of each, or 4 of each circle, so you got 2 for each flounce, and then you sew around the edge and turn them inside out from the hole in the middle, and then you attach it so it's all enclosed anyway and you don't have the wrong side of the fabric showing. That is also an option, because circular hemming and tiny circular hemming on tiny things, I mean, I don't think I did a bad job on this. There you go, I gripped it. I don't think I've done a bad job on this, but it is a lot more faffy and fiddly. I just don't like the lace, that's the thing. I like the look overall. I still love the fabrics together. I think I'd really like it with a pair of like cream wide leg trousers, and if I got a cream camisole underneath as well, and so it's like I think I'd really like that. Will I make that? Probably not. I find that a bit boring, but maybe I will. I do love it. I'm probably going to make another one. I love a blouse. I do love a blouse. I don't wear them that often, but I love wearing them, and I do love making them. They're very spring, it's part of my spring kind of look. Fabric that would otherwise not get used, is difficult to use up, has been saved from landfill, and I've got a lovely, really quirky boho blouse out. And you know what? I quite like the additional band that I had to add because I cut the pattern piece to lengthen it actually, and I just obviously misplaced the other bit and didn't realise. So I do like the length of the sleeves. I love the fact that I added the band in, and it just adds to that patchworky, like for any project to have messed up like this was the one to do that, because of how patchwork and boho this one particularly is. A lot of the time mistakes are 100% salvageable. I had planned another garment in this video, but together the video was way too long, so I've got another fancy scrap project coming your way. I think I'll pause and I'll insert a different project in between so you don't get too bored of the same content. But yeah, I hope this inspires you to look at your scraps in a different light. Just because you haven't got cotton that is easily patchworkable doesn't mean you can't make really fun garments. These were sheer. Next time, technically one is sheer that I'm using in that, and the other is lame, a nice heavyweight fabric which behaves very differently from the sheer. So if you enjoyed this project, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell for the notification for when I upload that project in a couple videos time. Come again and hobby along with me. Bye. Is Harry running water downstairs? So yeah, well, he was running water. I just heard it click off. Get there. Like I said, I shouldn't be trusted with these sleeves.